The story of General Grievous is quite the layered one. In Star Wars canon, the story of General Grievous, the terrifying droid general during the Clone Wars era, came to a brutal end on the planet of Utapau, at the hands of the Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi, after General Grievous had butchered dozens of Jedi over the course of the Clone War, and had prided himself in his ability to kill the Jedi, even Jedi Masters, without his ability to tap into the Force, something that made him quite famous and also feared in even the darkest corners and widest corners of the Star Wars galaxy. The story of General Grievous naturally did not come to an end in Star Wars canon following his death, as his story lived on, namely in the minds of the Imperials that followed after the Republic was superseded by the Empire, or in the minds of the individuals that were unlucky enough to be in the path of General Grievous's wrath. In Legends though, General Grievous was somewhat reborn following the Clone Wars conflict, in a new mind and in a somewhat new body. So in today's video, we will detail the story of General Grievous in both canon as well as Star Wars Legend, and make an updated video on exactly what happened to General Grievous after the events of Revenge of the Sith, and after he was seemingly disposed of by Jedi Master Kenobi. In the aftermath of Order 66, in which the Jedi Order was betrayed by the clone troopers under Sidious's orders, the fallen Jedi Terran Malicos lied to the Night Sisters of Marin about General Grievous's massacre, in an attempt to manipulate her into teaching him magic, a different version of using the Force. Malicos claimed that the Jedi had been the ones who ordered the massacre. It wasn't until 5 years later that Marin learned the truth from a Jedi Knight known as Cal. Years after Grievous's death, an Imperial researcher named Silo began working on the creation of a cybernetically enhanced individual. One of these individuals was named Commander Carbon. They were all designed to be possible replacements for Darth Vader. As the Emperor's apprentice, one such individual, Carbon, had a cybernetic body installed by Dr. Silo, who claimed to have been inspired by the body of General Grievous, giving him the ability to wield 4 lightsabers. Also in Star Wars canon, sometime after the Battle of Endor, Temmin Wexley implied that he had downloaded some of Grievous's old programming into Mr. Bones, his robotic bodyguard. But thus comes the story and end of story for General Grievous in Star Wars canon. Short, but again his legacy did live on. It is in Star Wars Legends though where his story expands, and a new creation, possibly even more sinister than Grievous himself, was born. Following the declaration of a new order in the Empire, clone troopers recovered General Grievous's body after his fateful duel with Obi-Wan Kenobi, transporting it and his captured starfighter to one of Emperor Palpatine's secret storehouses on the planet of Utapau. There, the body would remain to collect dust for years, until the cybernetist Nicolo Kinsworth used the body of General for the NK project, creating a highly advanced droid known as NK Necrosis. During the Great Galactic Civil War, the conflict between the Empire and the Rebellion, Dr. Kinsworth, a highly regarded cybernetic scientist, was employed by the Galactic Empire to construct an advanced combat droid, a droid that in hopes could one day replace the normal birth stormtroopers. Kinsworth's study of death and its aspects helped him to create a cutting-edge droid brain. With that complete, the Doctor dubbed his project NK, a reference to his own name, Kinsworth. Later, Kinsworth recruited a well-known scientist named Lorne, who helped him move the project into a different stage. Both scientists then transferred the project to the Wookiee homeworld of Kashyyyk. It was there that the project was presented to the planet's Imperial overseer, the Darkside prophetess Merrily, who allowed Kinsworth to host the project within the Midril Caverns on the planet of Kashyyyk. Following this, Lorne hired the assassin droid IG-72 to round up 2 outdated IG-100 Magna Guards, which were to serve as bodyguards to the advanced battle droid, inspired by General Grievous, and wanting to reuse the Magna Guards that the General had used during the Clone Wars. In order to further the project though, Kinsworth and Lorne ventured to the planet of Utapau, hearing rumors that General Grievous's body was within one of Emperor Palpatine's secret storage warehouses there. Once arriving on the planet, Merrily gave the two scientists the droid body of General Grievous, confirming their suspicion that Palpatine had in fact ordered that they keep the body of General Grievous, as he saw further use for it. The droid body later hosted Kinsworth's experimental droid brain, and was reanimated into the advanced combat droid NK Necrosis. Essentially what this means is that the identity of General Grievous was no more. General Grievous was officially killed by Obi-Wan Kenobi on Utapau, as what was left of his biological matter was destroyed that day. However, the body of General Grievous still saw use, and again, Kinsworth planted his advanced droid brain in what was formerly the body of Grievous, as his body and cybernetics were still very much cutting edge even for the time of the Imperial era. Officially, the body of General Grievous was deemed NK Necrosis. The two Magna Guards, renamed NK3, instructed the reanimated Grievous how to fight with a lightsaber, just as General Grievous had, however with a different lightsaber entirely, utilizing the same fighting techniques that Grievous taught the Magna Guards nearly 2 decades earlier. NK Necrosis carried a variety of weapons, as well as General Grievous's starfighter. Necrosis, though, was noticeably different in fighting style from General Grievous, and when prompted to, Necrosis chose a double-bladed red lightsaber containing the crystal to Bane's heart, an artifact that once belonged to the Sith Lord Darth Zana and was gifted to her by her master Darth Bane. Surprisingly, NK chose this as his primary weapon, despite the 4 lightsabers that he wielded as General Grievous, proving that there was a different identity completely within the droid now, and that all remained of Grievous was his body. It was for years that Kinsworth and Lorne spent time attempting to perfect the body of NK Necrosis. It was true that the experimental brain had worked, but they had yet to figure out how to mass produce it. They had also successfully developed a machine made for war. However, NK Necrosis, surprisingly to the scientists, was nowhere near the skill level of General Grievous, as General Grievous had had all of the lightsaber forms downloaded into his brain, and could master all of the forms in seconds, and that all that remained of NK Necrosis, however, was simply what General Grievous had showed to his Magna Guards, which was the primary weapon why he ended up choosing a double-bladed lightsaber, and skill-wise was a shadow of his former identity. At some time during the Battle of Yavin, Kinsworth and Lorne had a falling out, and Lorne kidnapped NK Necrosis as well as his bodyguards for his own means, and stored them deep within the caverns in around 1 ABY, or around a year after the events of A New Hope and the time period of Empire Strikes Back. However, a group of spacers investigated the depths of the caverns during the height of the Galactic Civil War, hearing rumors of NK Necrosis as well as Lorne, at the behest of Kinsworth, who had sent them there to recapture NK Necrosis. During the investigation, the spacers found the cave where NK Necrosis was being stashed, which was protected by a watchful B1 battle droid. In order to achieve and reawaken NK Necrosis, the spacers were given a mission by the B1 droid to find these crystals that had a secret ability to reawake NK. After the spacers retrieved the crystal in another reign of the caverns, the battle droid gave the spacers access to the cave where Necrosis was kept. Inside, the spacers spoke to Lorne, who demanded that they hand over the crystal. After the spacers complied, Necrosis and his 2 NK3 bodyguards appeared and engaged the group in a fierce battle. The spacers ultimately though defeated and destroyed both NK Necrosis and the NK3s. They then looted the droid bodies, taking anything that was deemed valuable, which included the Bane's Heart lightsaber blade, other weaponry, the deed to the Soulless One, and parts of Necrosis's body. The looted parts of NK Necrosis's droid body, which were considered valuable components, were sold to the invisible market. Supposedly, Necrosis's armor mask had been purchased by a high-ranking Imperial Admiral, rumored to be Grand Admiral Thrawn, as a Kalish work of art for his grand collection. But that is the end of the story of General Grievous, or at least what was left of General Grievous after the events of Revenge of the Sith. NK Necrosis had traits similar to his former host body, the late General Grievous, though Kinsworth assured Necrosis that he was better than Grievous. However, this proved ultimately to be incorrect. Along with the considerable fighting prowess that he had acquired through training with the NK3s, Necrosis also acquired an almost human penchant for analysis, and often wondered whether he was in fact superior to Grievous and not simply a shell of him. Necrosis found himself pondering who Grievous had been, feeling something akin to envy towards the living intelligence that had once inhabited the body. While serving under Lorne, Necrosis referred to him as his master. NK Necrosis was highly advanced in melee combat and used the same lightsaber techniques that Grievous once taught his Magna Guard bodyguards during the Clone Wars. Unlike other lightsaber crystals, Necrosis's, the Bane's Heart crystal, was alchemically treated, thus making the overall weapon more powerful than a normal lightsaber crystal. Both Necrosis and his NK3 guards favored melee combat over a ranged variant. Since Necrosis had a strong armor base, he was more powerful than his NK3 droids, Necrosis's body, made of duranium alloy, had the appearance of Krath war droids. While the entire body was cybernetic, a notable feature was the inclusion of the LX-44 leg. Again though, that is the shell of the fate of General Grievous. Again, I think it's pretty clear that Grievous was far more powerful than NK was, despite what NK's creator had to say for it. But did you guys know about this, and the ultimate fate of General Grievous in Star Wars canon, as well as in Star Wars Legend? As always, my friends, thank you so much for watching the video. May the Force be with you, and have a great day.